Delaware's moving up to the FBS level next season, so I've put them in College Football 25, and my goal is to get the Blue Hens a national championship, but I'm only giving myself 7 seasons to do so. The team we're starting with, though, only is a 55 overall offense. Plus, I've decided for this entire rebuild over all 7 years, I can only target 3-star recruits or lower. So I'm just making my life even harder with it also being on Heisman. Now, our first game as an FBS program is against #1 Georgia, which means there's almost no chance that goes well. I'm just hoping throughout this schedule we can at least pick up 1 win in our first season. Now, as you all can probably predict, as we go into the 4th quarter, we're trailing by 42. And I am ashamed to say that we're only averaging 2 yards per play. It is now 3rd and 7 though. We have an opportunity to stop them for the first time in this game, and we don't. It is going to be a very long season here at Delaware. I just want to get some points against Georgia. And the reason for that is we can only hop into 3 games this season, so we need something to go our way. I want to be able to take at least 1 positive away from this game. And there it is. Your Blue Hens are on the board. We have a long way to go, but we also have 7 years to improve. And I hope that our defense never plays this bad again. Now, as you can imagine, taking over a new FBS team, our school grades are not good. So for the 3 stars we have on our board, most of them are interested in proximity to home, and right now, this gym quarterback could be the future. With how bad our coordinators are, though, it currently takes us 50 hours a week to scout any position, so we're going to have to go down this recruiting tree. And as we level up, I'm hoping that we can start to unlock that tier 2 so we find more prospects that are good for us. Since we pretty much know the farther we get into this season, the more games we're going to lose. I want to be able to target prospects that are gyms, but at the top of our board, we only have 2 of them. Now, as we have simmed through the year so far, you're going to see road loss after road loss. I felt like there was no chance of us winning any of those games. But Kennesaw State also moved up to this level recently, so I'm curious if we could beat them. We also end this season with the other team that's moving up to the FBS level next year, Missouri State, on our schedule. That could be a winnable one, which would be really big for us right now, but we'll see how we handle the Owls. I have no idea what goes on up in Delaware, but I'll tell you what, we've played a pretty good game versus Kennesaw State. They're running it on 3rd and 4, and I really want to hold them to a field goal, so they just tie it up. We filled that hole up perfectly right there, though we're getting stuck on this one, and it all comes down to this. 3rd and goal, we're stuffing it. We have a real opportunity here to get our first FBS win, but I don't think we're going to have any success on the ground no matter how hard I try. We have to go through the air on 3rd and 8, and using the halfback angle route, we are going to have Tyson, who gets all the way to midfield. Xavier Jackson believes in this team right now. He continues to complete pass after pass, but I don't think this team is in field goal range right now, so he's going to have to step up and scramble, fighting for a first down where he loses the ball. It has been marked all the way back as a 3rd and 6 now. We have got to pick this up and just possession catch it. But the thing is, even from this spot on the field, I'm not sure if we can hit a field goal. We continued to move it closer, so I'm really hoping that this is enough right here. If we shank this, I would be so upset. But it turns out Delaware's good enough to beat Kennesaw State. We needed that, and I also believe a little bit more in quarterback Xavier Jackson. So there's a chance that he remains the starter for us, especially since his skill caps don't look that bad. He is going to have some competition next year, though, because of all the commits that we've been able to get. At the top, we have Keontae Pettigrew, and I said he could be our QB going forward. We'll see if we're able to pick up any other wins during sim. I'm going to hop into the final game of the regular season, the final one I'm allowed to play. And this is certainly a challenge, only recruiting 3-star prospects and only hopping into 3 regular season games a year. If there's any other prospect that I really want Glukowski on our team just for that name alone. Unfortunately, though, as the weeks go on, we're not going to get our running back. We're also really struggling to hard sell some prospects on our program, but it makes sense why as we go into this last game against Missouri State, we're currently 1-10. They aren't as bad as us either. They're currently sitting at 8th in our conference. And let's just say that this game against them has not gone the way I was expecting. They have run our routes for us. I mean, what do you want us to do if they're running man-to-man? And I'm not sure if I can even blame Xavier Jackson. Our entire team clearly did not adjust well moving up to the next level. We also have David Lakes as an option at QB, but I don't think we're going to be good no matter who we start. We averaged 1.3 yards per carry on the ground, and our best receiver only had 535 yards. We are not starting in an ideal spot, but I can fire both these coordinators since they contribute almost nothing. Liberty ended up winning the conference championship. That's probably going to happen a lot throughout this rebuild, and they even made it to the playoffs, but I'm sure that Alabama's just going to blow them out. At the moment, I don't really like our coordinator options either, but I think we're going to hire Watson for our offensive coordinator because he is the architect tree unlocked. And why that's so important is if he is tier 2 for any of these positions, there's a chance to increase a random skill cap when a player levels up. Since we can only go after 3 stars, that could be game changing for this rebuild, but I'd also like a coordinator that could get better at recruiting. It's hard to say if this is going to be an improvement or not, but we do have 3 tacticians in our office. Maybe they can strategize their way to a championship. I mean, Ohio State was able to do it with Will Howard at quarterback, but we do have a bit of of a setback going on. We have a bunch of players leaving, including quarterback Xavier Jackson. There's no chance to persuade him to come back. But we also have the transfer portal that could help us out, and Kentucky quarterback Gavin Wimsatt's actually in here. Just considering we finished the season losing a bunch of recruiting battles, we really need this period to go our way. And I forgot to check player dev traits of the guys that we signed. I'm hoping for an elite, though I love to see a couple stars in here. That is huge for 3-star prospects. The big one is our quarterback though, and he's an impact. To my surprise with these transfers though, the battles don't seem to be too difficult so far, besides on Keith, who I was really hoping we'd get. We have somehow jumped out in front the next week though, even though our hard sell is not very good. But then on National Signing Day, which went pretty well all around, he decided he was going to go to South Carolina, that playing time wasn't everything. Even though that class doesn't seem that good though, we're ranked 69th in the country, we're second in our conference, and we have a new starting quarterback in Gavin Wimsatt. There's no way anybody's higher than him. With our player progression going this well on top of it, I am excited for season number 2. And even on the lowest XP setting, we have jumped up to level 13, so we're going to get tier 2 for everything in recruiting. My main hope right now is we beat Missouri State to start the season. I feel like that'd be a great way to open things up. And Keontae Pettigrew could get redshirted because we're going to have Gavin Wimsatt for 2 seasons, not just 1. I thought he was a senior, but the fact that he's a junior is even better for us. His accuracy could go up a lot. And the transfer portal has built this roster. It's how we got running back Brandon Tulis. It's the same way we got receiver Adam Randall. So we're going to utilize that throughout this entire rebuild. It's the best place to find 3-star prospects, but we have 29 team needs, so we also need to sign some high schoolers. Even with the ability to scout players much quicker though, there is only one gym at the top of our board. We're also recruiting a bust. And Jaquez is the only quarterback that we're going after at the moment, but he has 96 throw power, 88 speed, so even if he doesn't have good development, I want to try to land him just so we have a decent backup throughout this rebuild. But let's see if we can beat Missouri State. They might have annihilated us last year, but I feel like we have put a decent supporting cast around Gavin, and I'm really hoping we can score to end this first half, but it might have to come on the ground with his legs because his throwing has not been the best. We haven't really made progress with the scrambling though since that last run. We're going to get one going here, and that means we're also going to use our final timeout. Now they're going with man-to-man coverage. We're not going to catch it, and I really don't want to kick our 3 right here, but I think it's important that we get this game back within a possession, except we still missed it. Even though our receivers definitely got better, even though we got better at the quarterback position, it still has not been a good third quarter. But this drive continues to stay alive, and I think we're going to have our running back open. Gavin just missed him. He was an upgrade from what we were using, but I never said he was a good upgrade. This is going to be completed for a touchdown, and your fighting blue hens are back within 5. We really need to get Missouri State off of the field though. If we got an interception, that would be beautiful. We just can't play defense. That is so embarrassing. Now it's going to be 4th and 3, and we're going short of the marker. Why would you run backwards? That's going to do it. We wouldn't even touch the ball after that. And I'm a little afraid that Delaware is going to have the same season that they did last year. That might not be the case though. We simmed against New Mexico State. We won by 6 points, and Gavin Wimsatt threw 4 interceptions, so we could have won by a lot more. I really don't understand how you win with that many turnovers, but we're not going to beat Penn State. And I can't even hard sell on the one gym recruit that we have on our board because the school grades just aren't good enough. That's actually true for every prospect that we can go after at the moment, but with only 350 recruiting hours, it's 7 at a time. That's it. I think over time though, we're still going to be able to sign them. I just wish we could hard sell. That Rutgers game in this one against Penn State might not have gone in our favor either, but we kept it a lot closer than I was expecting, and now it's time to finish the season with Conference USA play. I think we're in an interesting spot right now because we have a chance to start 2-1, at least when it comes to those standings, and we're hosting 1-3 Jacksonville State. We should hop into this. As we get through this third quarter, we have played well defensively. We've held them to 7 points. It's the offense that struggled, and I'm going to hand it off on 4th and 1 where Harden finds the hole. Ty Harden is still out there on the field as well, even though he's our backup running back, and I was going to get him involved, but they got their pressure in so fast. We just got to catch this. There is our lead versus Jacksonville State, 14-7, but they responded back with a touchdown of their own, and I'm hoping that we can move the chains on this 3rd down in the 4th quarter, which we do. From this point forward, every single drive matters, and Bentley continues to be a top target for us. We are going to have to pick up this 3rd and 5 though, and with that corner route, we do. Any wins that we can squeeze away with Delaware at this point in the rebuild are so big, because we cannot be a 1-star school prestige. We need to at least get up to 2 stars, though we're kicking our 3. I am just sick of only having 350 hours a week to spend on prospects, and this is a very big 3rd and 1 that they're surprisingly throwing the ball on, and we left them wide open to pick it up. The worst thing is it seems like they're gonna crack the end zone, though that was a bad pass, and I almost feel like we need to run commit in this situation, but it didn't work. Gavin Wimsatt Wimsatt has a chance to shine right here, though. They sent in a blitz, and we are going to have Bentley, except he dropped it. I was talking him up. I was speaking so highly of him. Now we're on a third down where I should not be threading the needle right there. And I think we're going to lose this game. We'll see if we can pick up the 4th and 10. I tried to roll out. Adams, please catch this. He doesn't. It is a shame that we weren't able to hold on to our lead. 21 points in the 4th quarter. But I can at least attest to the fact that this roster is far more competitive than what we put out there last year. Even though we're doing pretty well in recruiting, though, we're unfortunately not winning every single battle. We have been able to sign 4 cornerbacks. That was a big team need. And Jaquez Elis could be our backup quarterback for the rest of the rebuild. As we continue to sim through the season, we won our first Conference USA Player of the Week, Trayon Adams. But it was in a 21-point loss to Liberty after Louisiana Tech got their first win of the season against us. And if we lose one more game, we're not going to be bowl eligible. Now, since it's only season number 2, there's no reason we should even expect that. But it still would have been nice if we were able to take them down. Instead, we lost to Sam Houston by 30, and Gavin is not playing well. From this point, I don't even want to hop into our 3rd game of the regular season. There's nothing that we can improve on. But I am going to continue to try and lock up some of these prospects where at the bottom of our board, we're pretty much only going after offensive linemen. I think a big issue we could run into, though, again, is players that just want to transfer out. And if they did, I really couldn't blame them. We ended this season on a 10-game losing streak. We have another year of Gavin Wimsatt, though. His stats should continue to get better. Rushing-wise, we averaged a lot more than 1.3 yards per carry. But he was our leading passer, our leading rusher, and of course, he couldn't also be our leading receiver. It is kind of sad how hard this transition to the FBS level's hitting them. But you have to keep in mind, we're trying to convince players to come play in Delaware, and I think we're gonna fire our defensive coordinator because I don't like these splits in recruiter. At least with our offensive coordinator, like I said, he is this architect tree, so that means our quarterbacks and our wide receivers and tight ends all have a chance to increase random skill caps. But this guy right here, Devin Meeks, serves us no good, so he is gone. I will admit, seeing Liberty's quarterback, Caden Salter, win the Heisman completely caught me off guard, because in all the sims I've done, I've never seen it happen before, but they're the 3 seed. Liberty is living proof that we can have success out of Conference USA. I'm hoping that we can get our first elite dev in this class, but it is not going to happen. There is still another 7 prospects that we're trying to get to commit as well. This would definitely fix our offensive line issues. And I think we're going to bring on JoJo Knowles just because he is stuff in recruiter and motivator. This is a good time to remind you all, though, there's only 5 years left in this rebuild. And so far, we have not been able to get more than 1 win a season. We're also going to lose some decent players to graduation. Randall transferred in. We're going to see the transfer portal in a second. David Lakes never got his chance. This kid can transfer. We're not going to miss you. And I was so excited to see all the options that we could have, just to notice that there's only 2 that are even interested in Delaware. Nothing too exciting is happening during this recruiting period, though. Basically, I'm just sending the house on as many players as I can. But I did scout Marquise Lacey and found out that he's a gym quarterback, so I'd love to sign him. Guess who came in at the last second, though, to ruin it? Nebraska. And we actually lost a lot of battles that I didn't think we were going to lose, but in the final week, the bigger schools tended to pull away a bit more. To make matters worse, Marquise Lacey was a star dev QB. We could have had him. We were so close to signing him, so that is really disappointing to see. And we might not have signed the top class in our conference yet or found an elite dev player, but this is improvement. I want to see some big jumps out of these training results. We were a 75 overall. Now we're up to an 80. I think that's going to be a true 80 overall as well. Gavin Wimsatt's an 81. But I think you can see the issue we have at wide receiver whenever our top 2 guys both only have 81 speed. I know for a fact that when they play against Penn State, there's no chance that they even get open. I'm surprised they're coming to our stadium, but we could beat teams like UConn. And I don't know how we even have any team needs on our offensive line. We clearly over-recruited at that position. We should be fine there for a while, but we do have 23 to fill. Anybody that we find in this class will be a senior by the time that we get to year number 7. And for the true freshmen that we redshirt, they'll also be on the team by the time that final season rolls around. Now, we knew that Jaquez was going to be a bust, that his dev trait was not going to be any good, that he couldn't improve that much. And the same is true for our other quarterback options. So we found Devin Henderson. He is a gym. He's guaranteed to be at least impact, and I think he could be better. As you can see, though, with only 350 hours to spend a week in recruiting, our board is very tiny, 6 total players. 2 of them are these 3-star gyms from Florida. They're both pretty quick. And my hope is they'll help us build a foundation for a championship offense, but there's no guarantees they'll even commit. By now, even if we're similar overalls to Coastal Carolina, I think we're going to avoid playing them. I want to play Conference USA games, because we could have a lucky season in sim and we actually beat them by 8 points. This is a much different year for Gavin Wimsatt. Almost 400 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, and another touchdown running the ball. So that is more of what I was expecting out of the transfer quarterback, but he's going to struggle against Penn State. There is a slight chance that we somehow pulled off that upset though, because I'm seeing a player of the week. And there is no way. We beat Penn State, number 3 at the time, 35-30. He must have not turned the ball over at all. No, he had 3 picks. I am so confused at how they lost this game. Home field advantage doesn't even add up because we had so many more turnovers than them. They had 0. But you know what? We have gotten very lucky and we have to play on the road at UTEP. But before we continue rebuilding Delaware, a word from Raycon, today's video sponsor. With Black Friday and Cyber Monday around the corner, there's going to be plenty of deals. And an absolute steal would be Raycon's everyday earbuds. They have tons of features like active noise cancellation, which I love for the gym and on flights. And then they have multi-point connectivity, which allows you to pair with 2 devices at once. There's also now a quick charge function where 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery life. But if you charge them for a long period, they'll have up to a 32-hour battery life. My favorite parts about Raycon though are this new capsule case and the ergonomic design. Because Raycon's everyday earbuds fit the widest range of ears, and these optimized gel tips help with a cozy custom fit in your ears. Like I said, I love having them whenever I'm in the gym. And Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so what are you waiting for? It is time to save big for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/board today to get up to 30% off site-wide. And that's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website whenever you go to buyraycon.com/board. And now it's time to get back to the rest of the Delaware rebuild. If we're going to start conference play in this spot, I think we have to make sure that we start it with a win. And I know it's probably only a matter of time before this season comes crashing down, but right now we're playing pretty well. Even with Gavin missing some throws, we're currently up 14-3. We're going to try to scramble with him to get another touchdown right here. He's going to truck his way all the way in. And I never would have expected this team to be in this spot. It would be very challenging for us to blow this game as well. They ran commit on that play, so we're just going to take our touchdown. Maverick Bentley helps us seal the win over the Miners. I'm very proud. And this is exactly what I was hoping for when I saw he would consider transferring. We have already won more games this season than we did in the previous 2 years combined. But I am a little bit worried that we're not going to land the 3 gyms at the top of our board, because if you look at their current interests, they do not align with our school grades. Unless teams care about academic prestige, we're better off just sending the house. And I almost think that we need to hop into this game as well, because we're playing undefeated Sam Houston. This is risky though, since we can only hop into 3 games this season and conference play is just starting up. At the moment, it isn't exactly going our way, but we're going to hand it off to Kenyon Clay. He transferred in. And the senior running back could be another reason that we're having a lot more success. It's literally just been transfers that have made the impact. But we better lock in or we're going to lose our undefeated season. The 2-point conversion's wide open. I'd like to say that we still have plenty of time to come back in this game, but we have to get some stops. And that's a good start, but we might get held on this 3rd down. We're going to have to hit our crosser and Springer catches it. I don't love our backup tight ends out there on the field at the moment, but we beat the press over on that left side of the field. Their safety is going to get back to it. But he never made a play on the ball. We literally just dropped it. These are the struggles of playing in the rain, though. We're going to try to run with Gavin. He breaks 1 tackle. This is what we need. It is now 3rd and inches. Our hitch route, open, caught. And I think we should be getting our quarterback more designed runs than we already are, but that's a good broken tackle. This feels like such a big 3rd down in this game. Speed option. We're going to pitch it over to Kenyon Clay, and using his speed, he's going to take it to the 5, but he fumbled. Now, that might be my fault. Should I have gone for the hurdle? Probably not. It would have made for a sick highlight, though, and he's going to truck a defender. This is what we need out of Gavin Wimsatt. He's getting the ball in his hands, and he's going to have a chance to punch it in. There is no goal line formation out of this playbook, though, which worries me. We would have been in trouble if he didn't take that in. Will the defense hold strong, though? That is the real question, and they get a big completion. The second he broke on that route, I knew we were in trouble. I tried my best to click on, but I couldn't in time, and I just realized they chewed down a lot of clock. It is now 3rd and goal. 40 seconds left in this game. Halfback angle route taken away, and they missed the pass. Here we go. 4th and goal. Please tell me our defense can hang on right here. I'm right there, lurking it with Van Buren. We just recruited him, and why am I even taking this out? It was just out of pure excitement. The game is over. We are still undefeated, and I'm going to put my faith in Gavin the rest of the season. I don't want to spend all our skill points right now, but I am going to max out the tactician tree in our head coach, because that'll help him finish the year strong, but I'm still hoping that we can unlock talent developer. This gives players a higher interest of transferring in. It's our best option to build a solid roster, but we have to have 2 players drafted in the 1st round. So I'm just really banking on some of these players having good development so that can happen, and we keep on saving up our coach points. I do have some good news for recruiting as well. We have Land Tobias. He was the only player that was even in a competitive battle. The rest of them we have just run away with. And now we can start scouting players to see if we can fill other holes on this roster. As for the rest of the season, I can only hop into 1 more game. I'm not sure which one of these I want it to be, but it'll probably have to be against Liberty since they're normally good and we just have to win this in sim. It could also be against a team like Jacksonville State. They're on top of the conference standings. And it really was Kenyon Clay that just came in and saved this offense. I don't think I've had a turnaround like this on any rebuild we've done on College Football 25 yet. But at least for this one season, we're elevated on another level. We're 5-0 and we're gonna sim against Liberty. They're currently 0-2 in conference play. It doesn't make sense to play them. And it might have been a close game, but we survived, winning by 3 points. Now, considering that we beat Penn State and they're still ranked inside the top 25, they were up to number 6. Now they're 3-2, so they dropped. You would think that we would be at least receiving votes, but we're currently not. And I also noticed that Jacksonville State was ranked. Now they're not on our schedule, so we could meet them in the conference championship, but we have to keep on winning. I think a road game is the final one I'm gonna hop into, but at some point I feel like we're gonna drop one. And since I started scouting more players, I have found a 3-star gym at wide receiver and then one at running back as well for us to pursue. All of the good news was bound to end at some point though, because you could see our record. It was 6-1 and it wasn't even a contest. Gavin returned to his junior year for me through 2 interceptions, but luckily as of right now we would still be in the conference championship. So I'll probably hop into our game at Louisiana Tech, and there's no reason for us to play against UConn. If you thought that was going to be the start of our downfall though, you would be wrong. Gavin bounced back, and coming off of a 42-14 point win, I wish I had another choice than to play this one on the road. It's the final game we can hop into this season, but looking at the standings, this is an important one, because if we don't take down the Bulldogs right here, we're going to fall way down the conference standings. Unfortunately, with less than 5 minutes left in this one, I can't say we're in a good spot, though we beat the press over on the right side of the field, so Firth is going to take this one to the crib to get it back within a possession. But our defense has not showed up in this game, and after that score, they're definitely going to need to. We're short. No, we got it. If they really wanted to, they're probably only a few first downs away from winning. But we'll see how they handle this 3rd and 5. There's a wide open receiver. I mean, our zones just did nothing. He jukes our safety, and now we got to knock this kid out of bounds. No, he's still juking. We're facing off against a team that has prime Barry Sanders at running back, but they just took a penalty flag for no reason at all. The funniest part about that too was they hurried it up just to not hike the ball, and they're still gonna get it back. Plus, we just can't tackle. I told you all, our defense decided to not show up for this game. There's a flag, and this is the only way we can get bailed out for a terrible design. We have running backs running into the linemen, and we also have Randy Firth trying to toast that corner over there again. He pressed him, but this time around he didn't get the separation. I thought I might as well take the shot. It can't hurt us. Instead though, we're gonna have to work it down the field a little bit more carefully like this. Even though we're down by 10, we're not out of this game yet. Gavin Wimsatt is determined to keep us in it as we go to the 2-minute warning. And this is basically a play-in game for a spot in the conference championship. Now, I don't love how many times he's turned it over in this game. It's not been great. But right now, all that matters is our defense comes up big time for us. We know exactly what's coming. We can run commit. We can stack the box in our favor. But I can't say the same on this 3rd and 12. They actually put it on the ground and we stopped them. We're getting the ball back with our season on the line. A minute and a half left in this game. I mean, they put that up as high as they could. And they really keep on testing Randy Firth over there, but he is not open, so instead we're going to go to the sideline. I am really going to miss Gavin when he graduates after this season. But that was a very rough sack to take right there, and we might have the fade route, though 21 is keeping up very well. That is not normally what happens in those situations. Man-to-man coverage. We can find Johnson. What? No, how did he just drop that? He is sitting here celebrating too for his career receiving yards. I swear, sometimes EA is just straight up trolling me. Like, he dropped it out of his hands for no reason. Everybody celebrated the moment like it was a big deal. No, it's 4th and 18. We have our season on the line, and our tight end is going to let them intercept it. Even if we're making it to a bowl game, no conference championship for us. But I do have good news in recruiting. Our original 6 guys, all of them are signed, including the 2 beasts at wide receiver and the potentially good quarterback. But if Henderson does not pan out, there are now 2 more gyms on our board that could play QB. I'm not sure which one of them would end up being better skill cap wise, but Richie is clearly the favorite. That's something for us to keep an eye on, and New Mexico State was the only team that we beat last season. So I was pretty confident we'd win that game, even if it was only by 7, and we have these 2 matches to finish out the year. As of right now though, we're not going to make the conference championship, so we need more to go in our favor than just us winning these games. That is exactly what happened though. Louisiana Tech lost last week, while we beat Middle Tennessee State 14-10, and is that a top 25 ranking? It depends on what poll you look at, but in the college football playoff one, we have made it that far. And as good as the season's going, I am afraid that we're going to fall off drastically next year. We will be losing a lot of key pieces, but we won this one won 38-17. They didn't stand a chance. I never got the message about us making the conference championship though. Louisiana Tech did have the tiebreaker, so it makes sense they passed us up in the end, but if enough teams lose, we might still be able to get into the playoffs somehow. We have also signed Sergio Ricci. I'm going to be very interested to find out what his dev trade is. But before we figure out who our new quarterback's going to be, we just have to be thankful for what Gavin did this season. He wasn't our leading rusher either. We actually had Kenyon Clay that was able to step up and make a difference after transferring. And from a receiving perspective, our top 3 guys are pretty much as even as it gets. It is time for the moment of truth though. Did we somehow make it into the playoffs? I don't think we deserved it, and there it is. We made a bowl game. The only way I could have seen us sneaking in is if maybe Penn State turned out to be better and that was their only loss. But our conference is still representing well. We've had somebody in the playoffs every single season. Here we go though. Early National Signing Day. Devin Henderson, star dev. That's a good look for our quarterbacks. We have star dev on Kyrie Hardy. And then Leon Radley is only impact for our quarterback, but we need Sergio to be good. Star is what we're looking for. We have star on Josh Brisby as well. So those are all players that are probably going to be our main starters by the time that we get to season number 7 and hopefully get us a national championship. That is the ultimate goal, even if they struggle at first because they're pretty young. And I don't know if our competition was just incredibly weak or what, but we have not performed well versus Colorado State. I mean, Conference USA isn't exactly known for being the toughest conference around, though we should be able to get our first touchdown. But I'm not sure if we've caught one of those passes throughout this rebuild. It's always dropped. 3rd and 15 now for Gavin. They're sending in the blitz. We're going to have to get it out quickly, and we still have a chance to get to 11 wins. I want to finish this game with a touchdown. That is the ultimate goal right here, with him running, finishing his career strong. And unless we get to like a 4th and 20 or something, I refuse to take our 3. This could very well be the best season that we have for a very long time. But it's safe to say that we needed it after going 1-11 2 years in a row. It's going to be 3rd and goal. And I think we all know who deserves to have this ball in his hands as he takes it in. What a career for Gavin Wimsatt. And the kid from Kentucky, just like me, has started this turnaround of Delaware. We have won a bowl game in year number 3 of them being at this level. He didn't have the best performance here, but he did finish it off. And his contribution to the Fighting Blue Hens will not be forgotten. He improved so much from a junior going to his senior year, and I know it would have been awesome if we somehow made it to the playoffs. But finishing inside the top 25 alone is plenty enough to make me happy. When you look at our records on a display like this, it just blows my mind. And I'm really hoping that with all of these departures, we can still at least make it to a bowl game next season. With all of our success as well, we have some better options in the transfer portal, but remember, we have to go after 3 stars or below, so we have to scroll down a bit. And the first 2 3-stars available, both wide receivers, are interested in Delaware. The thing is, I was able to fully fill up our board with prospects that wanted to transfer in, but I think the ones we should go after are these 3-star freshmen. And that's because they could still be around by year number 7, but as you can see, we're losing quite a few of them. It was pretty frustrating when teams would come out of nowhere to steal a prospect, but all around, we did get a lot of transfers that were freshmen. And we have found our first 3-star that also has elite dev. He is a left tackle. I'd consider this the best class we've had so far. It is ranked on top of our conference. And we have so many athletes to move around. Sergio Ricci, though, the guy at quarterback that we want to keep an eye on, is a 74. How these training results turned out, though, will really determine if we're going to fall off or not this season. We have an 89 overall. That is what I want to see. I also have to point out that Keontae Pettigrew is up to an 85. I completely forgot about him. He's going to be starting for us for a bit. His accuracies can't get any better, but I think he's still improved farther than he was supposed to. But whenever you look at him without all the coordinator boost, he is only an 81. What I find so interesting, though, is after encouraging players to transfer that we didn't necessarily need, we're only going to lose 5 seniors from this team. And that makes my life in recruiting at least a lot easier, though we have Penn State on our schedule again. Miami's on here as well, so that's going to be a tough road game. And I have no idea how this season's going to go, but we still have 4 years to win it all, and any of these quarterbacks besides Pettigrew could be the quarterback that gets us a championship. You can't sleep on the lower overalls either, because Devin Henderson's skill caps look incredible. His accuracies only have 2 of them. And then we have Sergio Ricci. His accuracies are capped off a little bit more, but he could still be solid. That's why we've kept this coordinator around that has architect, especially for that position. And as I put together this board, I think we're at a point where it's now going to be all about quality instead of quantity. I think it's safe to say that I have found that as well. We have 5 gyms at the top of our board. That's the most we've ever had, including Cameron Hicks, who could probably play about anywhere with his 94 speed. I'm far more concerned about how we're going to play on the field, though. We have to sim at UConn. And I just want us to start this season right before we get into Conference USA play. With a new offense out there, though, we lost in overtime to the Huskies. And this is exactly why I don't like to look at team overall, we have to make sure that we bounce back. I don't think that's really going to be an issue for us, at least in this game, because despite that ball being dropped, we're about to go up 24-7. I'm not sure what to think about the rest of the season though. This is a game that on paper we should have won no matter what. I just wanted to make sure that Pettigrew was fitting in well with the offense. So even if it turns out to be a blowout, I don't feel too confident going into the rest of the year. I only have control over the 3 games that I choose to hop into each season. So this man's also going to have to perform well during sim. Now, I've always been a very big believer in starting the year strong, so we're also going to play this road game. But after that, we can only choose one other conference opponent to play, and it'll probably be Jacksonville State. It is never a guaranteed win when we hop into these, but it certainly helps our chances. And there's some truth behind the fact that road games in conference play can be tough, but we beat the press over there, and we're going to go to the 30. Keontae Pettigrew's been making all the throws that I would want him to, though we're going to need a little bit more on third down. And I think those zig routes are our best chance to move the chains, so our tight end is going to have to hold on. Bentley gets it for us. I wish Maverick wasn't a senior because he has been a consistent target for us to hit. And I'm not sure what happened to Keontae Pettigrew on that play, but he's not out there on the field for this next one. We're also getting punished with a holding call that clearly didn't do anything. So this is turning into one of those games where we have to overcome a ton. After an incompletion on second down, it is 3rd and 19. We're going to have to roll out, use a playmaker, but it wasn't getting open. I thought it was zone coverage, but it turned out to be match coverage. Now we need a big 4th and 14, and there's nowhere to go. I'm so used to having Gavin at quarterback where we could have run for it, but it's just not the same with Keontae Pettigrew back there. I'm glad his injuries haven't completely kept him off the field. We should be able to get it back, but there is no longer any room for error. We have got to finish off this drive with a touchdown. His wear and tear is already super depleted. The lack of speed on this team is definitely starting to show. But the problem is we're currently waiting on the players that we recruited last year to simply develop. Once they aren't sitting at the bottom of the depth chart, I think our receiving options are going to get even better. But for now, I'm always hoping it's zone coverage. Man-to-man gives us issues. Then match coverage is just very confusing. It is 3rd down. I'm sending it up. I feel like we had the edge right there, and it's placed perfectly on the money. You know what? Maybe we should have some faith in this team. But the 2-point conversion is very important, and the slant is open. I definitely like our odds in this game a lot more now. I'm hoping that they make a bad read, though their quarterback is able to run for a ton of yards. They're in field goal range. Maybe not quite yet, but they're certainly close enough, and we got to get an interception right here. Money gets back to it. The way they beat him off the line, I did not think we were getting the turnover. That was a bad pass. Or maybe Carl Money just made one of the most impressive plays we've seen defensively. We are now sitting at 2-0 in Conference USA play. And if we somehow pull off this upset against Penn State again, I don't know what I'm gonna say. It is also so refreshing that we can start to hard sell on prospects again because our school grades have gone up. We have extra hours to even schedule a visit, which could help with somebody signing. And for whatever reason, we're ranked at number 20 in championship contender. Not everybody likes it here though. I remember that we got good speed out of the transfer portal, and he probably isn't happy that he's not playing much, but we only lost by 4 to Penn State. Now we have a tough decision to make whether or not we play the Gamecocks, because they lost some talent from last year. They're not sitting up here at the top of the conference standings, and it'd be the final game we can hop into during the regular season. I'm just not sure if I want to waste it when we still have at undefeated Western Kentucky and at undefeated Kennesaw State on here. Keontae Pettigrew played pretty well, but we ended up losing this one 29-24, and there's a chance we're not going to close out on either of these gym corners, so I'm going to have to do something. I've been trying to save up our coach points for when we unlock the architect tree, maybe the talent developer one, but we need to spend a little bit just to put more hours a week on DBs. And I've also looked into this skill tree as well, but I don't think anything on here would benefit us too much. Going forward, we shouldn't necessarily have too many struggles in signing these 3 stars. Plus, it's hard to unlock, so that's why I always avoid it in these rebuilds, but we're about to sim through a lot of the season. Now, I hate to admit it, but Missouri State did have our number there, which is why I'm really surprised we won at number 6 Miami. We've gotten lucky results in sim 2 years in a row, but we're still picking up other losses. Between this and beating Penn State, though, I would like to think that Delaware at least has a little bit of luck on their side. Keontae didn't play his best, and it'd be great if we were somehow still in the running to make the conference championship, but we have to win out. I don't know if we can get there anyway, but it's worth a shot. We want to make a bowl at least. And I am used to having a bunch of close games at this point as we get this 4th and 1. That was incredibly nerve-wracking, but a touchdown would win this one for us, so that's what we're going for. We're going to hit our drag over to Randy Firth, who makes a guy miss. And the farther this drive goes, the better it's starting to look. That was a rough sack to take right there, though. We could step up and scramble and hopefully get a lot of it back right here. I tried to slide. And it is so clear that Keontae Pettigrew does not want to run the football the same way that we were able to, but Ugba is going to get us to the 1. This is where we simply just punch it in and end this game right here. But the 2-point conversion would definitely make sure that we're safe, and we should have the slant. That is what it took to go into Western Kentucky and give them their 3rd loss of the year. But if I've learned anything from this season, it would be nice nice if we would have saved up at least one more game to hop into. As for recruiting, we were able to bring in every single gym that we targeted, but we still have some more work to do. I've started to go after a lot of linebackers. But then I found this 99 speed wide receiver gym. He's one of the final things I'm worried about in season 4, though I'd also still like to make that bowl. And it is pretty apparent, unless some madness happens, there's no shot at the conference championship. We ended up losing by 5 points to Kennesaw State, which means we fall into 5-6. And that means our final game of the season decides which one of these two teams is bowl eligible. We really needed to win this one, but it didn't go how I expected. And this is the type of fall that we just had after an amazing season number 3. With the era of the transfer portal, this stuff can happen in college football, but it's probably going to lead to us having issues winning a championship in the next 3 years. There are definitely some players that arrived in Delaware for the first time and decided they wanted out. And if you've seen my Road to Glory series, there is no way that Brady Dragish just won the Heisman Trophy. Weird stuff is going on in the college football world. Kennesaw State is in the playoffs, and we have already signed 14 3-stars. Even though I said I wanted to keep this class a little bit smaller, I'm seeing a lot of star devs. That's what I'm hoping for. Even Jamal Cruz, 99 speed star dev. It's also hard to hate on Keontae Pettigrew. He might not be a winner, but he puts up some solid stats. The 54 completion percentage was an issue though, and our running game clearly wasn't there, but this is the most we've ever had a receiver go for. It's going to be very interesting to see who emerges from player progression. But if I'm going to spend coach points on anything, once again, I think I need to make sure that our quarterbacks are jumping up the most, so we're going to unlock tier 3 in the motivator. I really wish I could unlock the architect tree as well, but we have to win 4 rivalry games. Delaware doesn't really have those. And for the talent developer tree, we're not having anybody in the NFL still, not even Jermaine Houston. We have to convince some of these players to come back to our team, and they aren't. All 3 of them have transferred out, but we're still having less departures than new additions. And we all know that during this transfer portal period, we can find some more talent. When it came to acquiring these transfers, I had the same goals as last year, and that was basically just go after young players that could be here during our final season, but we weren't able to win every single one of these battles, unfortunately. Our class rank has also fallen behind Louisiana Tech's. I did not realize our conference had 3 teams in the top 25, and even with all that in mind, they're still one of the worst conferences in the country. Cameron Hicks, though, was the 94 speed gym at the top of our board. I'm not sure where exactly we're going to use him. I think tight end could be a ton of fun. As I was going through position changes, I found something interesting to it. Wide receiver, we have Manuel Lolito. He is a deep threat, 5'9", and then at tight end, we just brought in this transfer, Manny Lolito. So we have brothers on the team. Both of them are from Florida, and for a tight end, this kid is 91 speed. Every season, though, we've gone up in overall, so I'm expecting the same for this year. We're an 87, and it might not be a legit 87, but it's pretty dang close. There's lots of seniors near the top of our roster, but I see freshman Sergio Ricci standing out. He's going to start for us. There's no reason to stun his development, at least for now, but keep in mind, 6'4" Devin Henderson, if he jumps up big any offseason, especially in accuracy, he could take his job. We also have a 6'5" running back. Tobias Akbar comes in that tall. I had no idea. He's fast too, 93 speed. I'm really hoping with all that in mind, this is a season where we can have more success, especially versus our conference opponents that can't be as good. And when it comes to recruiting, we currently have 30 sophomores and 30 freshmen, so we're pretty much set for our championship team by year 7. Up until that point though, we can still try to add other players to the roster, so anybody that's a gym or a transfer will still be welcome. But I'm proud to say that we don't have too many team needs, and we're even going to save Tony Applewhite for that year number 7. I'd still like to start season number 5 though in the right way, so we're going to play at number 20 Maryland. And I'm hoping that if we can win this, it earns some respect back that we lost last year. The great thing about this season is we have a new face at quarterback. Ricci's looking over to the sideline. It was cover 2, and we're going to get by those defenders. It is hard to get too excited though, because right now Maryland still has a 3-point lead versus us, and that was almost really bad. Now they're handing it off for 7. I think on 3rd and 3, we have no choice but to try and send in a blitz. It works. And all we have to do to keep our chance at winning this game alive is make sure we get in field goal range, though we're going to split the seam up the middle. They got to stop running cover 2 plays because Dennis is gone. I didn't think our starting receivers were even capable of that, but Ray Dennis just shocked Maryland, and now we have to hold on defensively for a bit longer. This is a stressful spot to be in, but we've done a really good job coming back in this game against them, and they only need like 15 more yards, which does worry me a little bit, but they're taking a check down. If any of their next plays finish in bounds, that's going to cause pure chaos for them. And here we go, 3rd and 5, take away the seam, take away the running back route. We got to get over to make a play. I thought they caught that ball right there, but they didn't. It is 4th and 5, and they are able to hit their flat, but he drops it. We actually held on, though. If they would have held on, they could have had the win. They were in the end zone. I've been saying it for a while, though. This Delaware team feels pretty lucky, and so far, Sergio Ricci at quarterback is undefeated. Now, that has to continue as we advance through the season. We clearly cannot play every game. But we aren't losing to New Mexico State. In fact, we won by 15, so maybe this roster is exactly where we want it to be. I also can't remember if I mentioned it, but we did get an insta-commit on this receiver, Nate Money, so that's why he's already been committed. And considering he's another gym, that just highlights how lucky this rebuild continues to be. The real question, though, is can we take down Penn State again? Even though we didn't, it's considered a quality loss, so I don't think this would hold us back from making the playoffs if we somehow win out. When you compare us to the rest of the teams on the schedule, we are the higher overall team versus all of them. So that's why I think winning out could be on the table, but we're losing this player because of a deal breaker. It definitely would have made matters worse if Navy could have beaten us, but they didn't. Looking at the rest of our schedule, we're going to play against Louisiana Tech and probably at Middle Tennessee State. But the biggest game for this season is right here, and luckily we get to host the Bulldogs. I had no idea that they were such a high overall, but it's certainly given our young quarterback plenty of issues. This one is caught. And Goodspeed, our running back, has wanted to transfer all season, but I want to change that. He has over 100 rushing yards. He's got to be satisfied with this. And closing out this game versus the Bulldogs is the most important thing we could do, so here on 3rd and 12, we just have to make sure they're short. We have full control of this game. That is all I would have ever wanted, though. It's 3rd down. And I might be going right back to a drag route, or we could go to Ray Dennis, who has this step on number 38, and he catches it. He's so short, he looks like a little kid out there, but let me tell you, he is fast. He doesn't play like a little kid. And Louisiana Tech is panicking. They are calling their timeouts. It is time for our 6'5" running back, Akbar, to get this handoff. He should be able to run through these dudes. But there is no guarantees that we can hold on to this lead. We still need to get a couple more stops. I thought we forced the fumble. It definitely said that we did. We knocked the ball out, and he scooped it up and kept running. That's a sick play. I can't even be mad about it. Their quarterback's a dog. We do need to close this out still, though. On 3rd and 8, what are his options? Throwing it away. It feels really good to know that we should be able to win this one. We're getting the interception to seal it, and that means Delaware is going to improve to 4-1. I would love to end it with this return for a touchdown, though. Make the score look even worse. There is one player still trying to catch us, and it doesn't matter. I think we should be a top 25 team. We have 2 top 25 wins. We have a quality loss. But now comes the hard part where we have to leave most of our success up to Sam. That's where our luck is going to run out, though, because Sam Houston beat us by 3 points on our own field, so now we're sitting at 6-2. Now, if there's any game that stands out on our schedule still, it's that one against Kennesaw State. But before we get to that and play it, we have to hope that we don't lose another one. I like to see that our tight end's winning player of the week, though, because most of the time that means we at least came out on top. But this Missouri State team that joined the FBS level at the same time as us has always given us issues. Before that result, though, I'd like to say that we signed all 6 of the players we went after at the start, even the strong safety, and now I have found 5 more gyms for us to pursue. I only want quality on next year's team, but we lost this game by 9 points. Sergio Ricci turned the ball over twice. That's probably what made the whole difference. And thankfully, going into this game, I think we could still earn a spot in the conference championship. We have to take down Kennesaw State in the first place, though. We should have the tiebreaker over them if we do. And it's still pretty early, but we're in a position where we could destroy them, and this one's not even going to be close. That is exactly how this game has gone. We're even trying to run up the score at the end, even though we already have a huge lead. And my reasoning for that is I'm not exactly sure what the tiebreakers are in our conference. It could be points, but there's a Bordeaux read to end the game instead. I turned it over. I'm not sure why I thought we were ever going to complete that pass. But who cares? This sophomore had 3 interceptions. We've now beat 3 ranked teams this season, but if we want to unlock some of this lower stuff in the tactician tree, we need to win 5 more top 25 games. If we don't have anybody drafted in the first round this year, I'm going to give up on saving up coach points for talent developer. And looking at the current conference standings, we are in the conference championship. Now, we still have to win this game at Middle Tennessee State, but I think we can make that happen. And we have. We're sitting at 9-3, though we have 2 of our running backs trying to lead. The screen for being in the conference championship never popped up, though. We are sitting at 3rd in the conference. That makes no sense. On the last screen, it said we were 2nd in Conference USA. I guess that result hadn't gone through, but we won by 20. I know we shouldn't have the tiebreaker over Sam Houston. They beat us head-to-head, but we never played Liberty, and we're the higher-ranked team, plus we have the better record. I couldn't tell you what the tiebreaker is. We've scored 1 more point than them. We definitely gave up less points, and we even have a better record on the road. We're on a better win streak. But they get into the conference championship, and we don't, so I can't even enjoy being inside the top 25. I don't want to take away from the freshman year that Sergio Ricci just had, though. He only threw 9 interceptions. This is what our other quarterback backs have been putting up over the last few years. And he's only going to improve from here, though Tyler Goodspeed, I wouldn't mind if he transferred out. He keeps on threatening to do so. Clearly, we're a more pass-heavy team, though we're losing Randy Firth. It's his final season. And on the recruiting side of things, we've made a couple more signings where a few more should come in by the time the transfer portal approaches. This is where I might be making a pretty controversial decision, though. I want to keep around Aaron Watson. He's been good for us offensively, but I'm going to fire our defensive coordinator. He hasn't done anything wrong, but I want to bring in a tactician in his place to help our overall. And I think that's going to be crucial for us if we want to get any farther than the Bahamas Bowl. Since we've only signed 3 stars or lower, we need a roster that can compete with the best teams. This is the tactician I am going for, and Jimmy better get onto this team. He'll make his decision soon for early National Signing Day. We've still only had 1 elite development player. It'd be nice if there were any others, but it's not a necessity. We've basically built the foundation for our roster that's hopefully going to be a championship contender in the next 2 seasons. Now, there is no reason we should be in this position versus Louisiana Monroe, but look at how much time's left. We're currently trailing by 3 points, so pretty much our only hope in this situation is just send it up, hope that we can make a catch right here, get a flag or something, and then somehow get into field goal range. That was a decent start right there. They are also pressing with 1 safety high. I couldn't tell you why they're doing that, but Ray Dennis might actually win it for us right here, and that's what he does. Did you really think we were about to lose a bowl game to Louisiana Monroe? It was definitely not how I envisioned us having to win this game, but I'll take that all day with no complaints. I have noticed, though, this is the first time the playoffs haven't had a Conference USA team since we started this dynasty, and I had a hope that some of these guys would at least become NFL talent, but none of them are, so that means we can't go down the talent developer pathway. We also need to try and convince Tyler Goodspeed to come back just in case he does. He wants to. And it's time to see what type of players we can get out of the transfer portal. There are currently 10 players from it that we're going after. Pretty much all of them are ranked inside the top 100 transfers. But the thing about the portal is you never get every single player you add to your board. In fact, we lost 3 of the players that we were going after to bigger schools, but we still cleaned up pretty nicely. All these dudes are just going to add to the depth that we already have. This is also the last real recruiting class that we're going after. Next season, I'm only going to approach players in the transfer portal, and that's because no matter how good a 3-star freshman is, they're simply not going to be good enough to be any higher than like a 70. Now, because of how many coach points I've saved up, there's a lot of things we can do to boost our overall, but the base is going to be about an 89, which is really solid. And Sergio Ricci might be up to an 87 overall, but his accuracy still has to go up. Anyway, now I have to find 6 players to encourage to transfer, and if they're lower overalls, it'll definitely raise ours. But on top of that, since we're not unlocking talent developer, we can go into tactician and for pretty much every position unlock all 4 tiers. All we need is 10 more coach points and we can max out all of the important ones. But when you combine that with all the roster cuts that we've made, our overall is still an 89. I might have messed up here. Our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator already fill up the tactician tree as well. So I'm starting to think that there's a max amount of bonuses stat-wise that you can get from this. I should definitely know this now that the game has been out for as long as it has. But I feel like I've just discovered most of our players are already capped out at their current overall since they've already filled up most of their skill caps. Can we win a championship with only 3 stars? We're about to find out. And over these next 2 seasons, one of the years just has to go our way. Our first game is against the UGF Pandas, so we shouldn't lose this. But it does worry me that we only beat them by 18 points, especially since we have number 2 Penn State on the road coming up soon. We have already been ranked, though, inside the top 25. We are being shown some respect. But if we lose this next one to Maryland, that all goes out the window, and I don't think I can play it. I had to sim it plus even this one because we still have not made it to our conference championship game. I want the ability to hop into as many Conference USA games as possible, but Sergio won Player of the Week. With those stats, not only did we survive Maryland, but we beat Penn State on the road 48-27. He had 4 touchdowns through the air, 400 yards, and then on the ground, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So we're currently sitting inside the top 10, and we can still hop into all 3 games. With all this success, it makes it hard to believe that there's still players that would want to leave the team. And we have found our first opponent, Jacksonville State, at home. They might be undefeated, but not for long. This team is so much better than any other one that we've had. And it took a lot to get to this point, but we're giving it to our 6'5" running back, and he goes to the 1. You have to remember, though, Goodspeed didn't transfer out, so he also needs his touches. And I'm ready to continue extending our lead 21-0. That is what I'm looking for right here, which we're going to get. I feel like pretty much any team in our conference shouldn't stand a chance against us. But we can only control the games that we hop into, and we definitely controlled this. This season's going so much better than I expected. But I just know that one of these games during sim is not going to go our way. Which one will it be, though? I'm not sure. We beat New Mexico State while holding them to 0, then Liberty kept it really close. And I know I want to hop into the game at Missouri State, but we're about to have 5 straight road games. A lot of those teams are also 2-1 in conference play, so I really don't know which one to pick. After thinking over it hard though, Louisiana Tech is currently still in 87, so I don't think this is one that we can avoid to skip. We have to play it. I'm gonna stick with what's been working for us as well, being super aggressive even on 4th and goal. Decisions like that have helped us out so far in this game. On this 4th and 4, we're gonna pick it up because we went for it. And as we approach the end of the 3rd quarter, you can tell they don't have a good chance now. This is how it's supposed to be though when you build this good of a roster. The one thing I'm worried about though is when we do get to the playoffs, how is it going to compete against the best teams in the country? Sergio Ricci might still need another year to develop, but come to think of it, maybe he doesn't. He's gotten us this far and we're just going to keep on simming. 9-0 is a beautiful sight to see, but we're about to play at Missouri State and we're simming it as well because Kennesaw State is ranked. They're the only team that's near us in the conference standings. I can't take the risk of simming that one, but we know what the Bears have done to us a lot. They normally end up beating us. I know this team is legit though, just based off of the fact that we handled them pretty easily. Kennesaw State also lost another game, but we're still going to play them. Right now, even though we beat the #1 team in the country on the road, we're still ranked down here at number 8. I don't get why they won't respect us. But one loss could seriously ruin this team, especially if we somehow lost the conference championship. That type of pressure is not fun, but we're still going to handle every single team that we face. These conference games haven't even been the slightest bit competitive, and I'm all for close, fun finishes, but we're not getting them. I think we could even argue that Sergio Ricci should be in the Heisman race, and it took them a long time, but they are finally showing him a bit of respect. We simply have this one final game before we get into our conference championship, and if we moved up in the rankings, the undefeated season is still on the table. This is what you call pure domination throughout the entire season. Besides Liberty and Maryland giving us scares, we controlled all these. And when you look at Sergio's game-by-game stats, he has only thrown 2 picks throughout this entire year. You'll see his season stats after the conference championship game, especially if we win the Heisman. And going into it, he's going to be the favorite because Penn State lost again. It was a bold move, but I feel like a bit of a genius for making this coordinator hire. And if we can't handle 7-5 Louisiana Tech, who is somehow ranked in some polls still, we don't deserve to be a playoff team. We've already handled the Bulldogs once this season before, so we shouldn't have any issues doing it again. And look at Sergio getting more and more comfortable. The longer the game's gone on for, the more apparent that it was never going to be close. And we're just walking our way into the playoffs at 13-0. Whenever you pair a really solid defense with a great offense, it's hard to beat a team. And I'm so glad we convinced Tyler Goodspeed to stay back. He almost transferred out on us, but he stayed in the end. And it's rare that I'm able to win this Coach of the Year award, but we just got it right here. Our defensive coordinator that we brought in also won Coordinator of the Year award. I knew he was going to be a good fit. I wanted to win the Heisman. It is so sad that at the end of the day, they still gave it to the kid from a bigger conference. But Sergio Ricci could have won it if he just threw for more touchdowns than he did. He could have rushed for a few more as well, but he beat that kid in a head-to-head matchup, so I feel like that means he deserved it. Heisman or not though, this is still our most successful season by far. Ray Dennis went off as a senior. And this current bracket has us playing Clemson or Ohio State in the next round. Both of those teams are going to be super good. This is where we really prove ourselves. And mainly I prove myself because we already showed that we could beat Penn State in sim, but can I actually go out and win this game too? I really hope so, but right now it looks like we might play Penn State in the next round as well. And this is one of those games where every single point matters, though they're getting in pressure. We've gotten our offensive line as good as we can get them though. We know that we're going to struggle a bit, which is why I'm really not a fan. They got the first touchdown of the day and they even hit our running back. It wouldn't let me throw it to him because of that, which sets them up very nicely for this 3rd down, but we are going to get over to it with Tobias and now we could return it for a big play. We got the block that we needed. One more guy to beat. That was so close to being the play of the game, but instead we're on a 3rd and 12 that we might not pick up. You just got to trust in your receivers though. That's what we did right there, and now stepping up, we're going to the 5. I'm not sure if we should even be at this point with Delaware this early in the rebuild. I mean, we're just 6 seasons deep, but the longer this goes on, the more that we're proving we deserve it. We can compete with any team, and here in the 3rd quarter on a 3rd down, I was going to step up and throw the drag, but instead we hit our tight end. Now they're saying he didn't get a foot down, but I don't believe it. I'm challenging the play right there. I watched him drag his foot. This could be a huge play for us. And the refs are still saying it's 4th and 7. They wouldn't give it, so we're just going to punt it and hope that this pins them inside the 5. That was a pretty disappointing bounce, especially since they were able to get a touchdown out of it, and they are all over us, but we just stiff-arm that kid. Sergio Ricci is very tired. His wear and tear is starting to pick up, so that's where we're going to have to lean on our running backs. Anytime we get to a 3rd and 10, though, we're in a pretty tough spot, and I feel like we're not going to make it to the marker. We have a big decision to make, and to start this 4th quarter, we're going to go for it right here as they've left a wide open lane for us to scramble. This is where we just have to play our best and close things out. But they are definitely not making it easy, and we're going to take our comeback route. John Ogba has been so solid for us, and they don't have a spy either. We needed that right there, but now we need our defense. And there is so much on the line. They've run the ball. They hit us with a fake pitch, and he fumbled. We literally should have had a stop right there, but instead we got super unlucky, and their quarterback had nowhere to go. 3rd and 10. What is he going to come up with, though? That is what I am currently worried about. It's going to be 4th and long. They are not attempting a field goal either. They're punting it back to us, though. That is a great punt. I do not feel confident closing out these final 3 minutes at the moment, but we're just going to keep on handing it off and seeing if we can hit that hole. We're 1 first down away from beating them, but I was assuming they weren't expecting the pass right here, and we could still catch it. There are times when the computer run commits in those situations and you have a free touchdown. We clearly didn't. But if we pick up 1 more first down, we will win this game, and we are going to do it. I mean, you could say they'd have like 20 seconds left if they're somehow able to stop us 3 times, but this spin move from good speed is going to definitely seal it now. It feels good to get on our knees because we are moving on to the semifinals. I'm very curious who we have drawn, though. It is going to be Penn State, and we might have beat them in sim, but now I have to actually beat them myself. The path for us to win a national championship is going to be super tough, but we can still do it. And if I had to describe an ideal start, what has happened so far in this game would probably consist of it. We have an opportunity to go up 14-0. It isn't as tight as the Clemson game was, but it's still driving me nuts that we don't have any goal line plays in this playbook. I haven't switched it for the entire rebuild, though. It has gotten us this far, and it was a pipe dream to keep Penn State scoreless throughout this entire one, but we could hold them to 3. Here on 2nd and goal, I know that they're probably going to have somebody motioning over the middle, and there's no way that they handed off from this position, so we were able to pass commit. Now their quarterback's trying to run it in, and we're going to hit him in. That's why he won the Heisman Trophy, though. He's going to keep his team in this, and we've been fortunate enough to maintain a 7-point lead as we go into the 4th quarter, but they've been getting pressure in so fast, it's been very hard for us to secure our win here, and the running quarterback is starting to drive me nuts. We have a quarterback contain out there for this 3rd down, though they're running a halfback screen that we're going to be all over, and after punting it back to us, we should just be about maintaining at this point in the game, even if we're passing for a bit. Even a field goal would really change how this one ends for us, and I'm going to see if we can split the seams up the middle, or we're just going to step up and run for 20. Sergio Ricci is not a running quarterback, but he has turned himself into one, and that's just an added bonus on top of all of his throwing stats, like 96 throw power, which he's lasering that in. That was a bold move right there, but it should pay off as we're about to go up by 14. With how fast they scored, though, we can't secure our win yet, and hang on. I simmed the kickoff, but we have it on the 5-yard line. I'm not sure how you would even make that happen, but our tight end is open here. This is ridiculous. We could actually choke this game away. They didn't get the 2-point conversion, though, so they're going to need a 2-point conversion with a touchdown here. And I don't understand why it always has to be this tight. If we could have just had a nice, relaxing win, that would have been better. We were literally in the driver's seat until they scored extremely quickly against us, and they're wasting a down by spiking it. We almost need to keep an eye on the clock just in case they are able to score. I know that he's going to want to run, and we have seen it before. They're running it on 4th down, though. No, they did an RPO. All right, 2-point conversion right here. We're in that gap. He's getting caught. He dives. He's short. All we have to do is recover this onside kick. I wouldn't be surprised if we somehow dropped it, but we can trust Aldridge to hold on. It should have never gotten to that point, but we are moving on to the championship, and we literally need the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens to just play well for 1 more game. It's going to be against Oregon, so I'm sure it's going to be tough, but if we've made it this far, we can probably handle 1 more game. Going into it, we average a few more points per game, which is a good sign, but they're 1 overall higher. And win or lose, I think I'm gonna sim through 1 more season just to see how we do if I cut some of these lower overall players. I want to see how good this roster can be, just consisting of 3-star prospects. But before we can do that, we have to play Oregon, or else we're going to be playing another season. As we get closer to the end of the first half, you'll see that Oregon is trying to score against us, but we currently have a lead over them, so I'm really hoping that we can make sure they only take their 3. If they throw the ball on this 3rd down, though, we are not prepared. And I've seen kickers shank it from here before, but it's not going to be theirs. They also started the 3rd quarter with a touchdown, which definitely worries me a little bit, but we're catching this. And here we go. 3rd and 3, slant should be open. We get it. That almost went really bad bad for us though, and they're all over us. It's definitely been a struggle in this game. I think we're gonna have to step up and just run for it and hope that we get enough. But we 100% should have fumbled that football right there, and we drop it. I think by the end of this drive, we're gonna have to settle for a field goal unless the thing that works best for us, running, keeps on going well. This would be a terrible time for me to throw an interception like I normally do. That's what I'm very worried about. And here on 3rd and 4, I don't see it open, but we're still taking the angle route, which is gonna take us to the 1. Pretty much every play in this game matters, because if we would have had to take our 3 right there, it would be drastically different. Now it's back in the hands of our defense though to take care of business. And I think getting Oregon to a 3rd and 6 is a pretty big deal, though I'm stuck on a lineman and I'm gonna have to make the tackle here. They've juked us out. I didn't even mean to click onto that player. It is the rushing abilities from the QBs that give us the most problems. And with 5 minutes left in this game, I'm not really liking the current position we're in. If we can just get a 2-high safety look though, I think we can split the seam. And we're even running some bubble screens, which is gonna make it a 3rd and manageable. Now I am scared of running here because I'm afraid they're gonna immediately shed, which is why we have taken our drag route. But we are unfortunately leaving Oregon plenty of time to score. It was a good drive, but we did all we could offensively. And this is where I get super nervous. They are going to hand it off. No, they hit us with the play action. I got faked out. Now they're at midfield and they're going farther. They just put themselves in a way better position to win this game against us, and I'm not sure what we can do. If they go for just running the ball, they're going to settle for a field goal. We have gotten an interception right there. I'm not sure how we've gotten it, but we do. Machado better start celebrating, doing some dance or something. I want to see it, and that quarterback's mad. He literally just read this perfectly. But I think this is the one time I'm going to shut my mouth about the physics not working. Somehow the Oregon receiver literally just let that ball go through his hands, and there is simply no way I can choke this after the spot we've been put in. We got to complete this pass. The refs are even reviewing it. They're trying to help out the Ducks, but there's nothing that they can do now. The Big Ten and SEC commissioners aren't going to want to see a Delaware team winning at all. We still need to hit the field goal. I shouldn't talk like this game is over, especially since they could have picked that, but the fact that we were able to hold on to that ball should be close to enough, and we're going down in bounds. I saw the cover too, and I would much rather seal this game than get a touchdown. That's why I'm running backwards. So after using a timeout and running down the rest of the clock, national championship right here, put it down the middle, easy as could be. The Oregon defender even got upset and roughed our kicker up, but my dumb self accepted the penalty instead of declining it, so we're gonna have to hit it again. Either way though, your Fighting Blue Hens have won a national championship just 6 years after moving up to the FBS level, and I gave myself 7 years to do this, so I'm impressed we did it in 6. We are seriously so lucky though that we found Sergio Ricci in recruiting, and after an undefeated season like that, you have to see if the team can run it back or not. I think we could, especially since we're only losing 6 players. We finally put some into the NFL, and going into season number 7, we would have been a 95 overall, so I built this team nicely. If you're curious about Sergio, the highest he seems to be able to get is to an 88. His accuracy's never maxed out, and we'll see whether or not we're able to go back to back. Well, not only did we make the conference championship again, but it's against the same team, and Delaware played an easier schedule than Indiana has this season, so it's not like their wins are really that great. The top of Conference USA was better than it's ever been before though, and I was able to win Coach of the Year again. Sergio also won the Best Quarterback award. He didn't get the Heisman, but it's probably because he's averaging an interception a game. We still beat them 46-28. Statistically, this is going to be the best year we've had yet. 1 yard short of 1,000 rushing yards with a running back, 2,000-yard receivers, and I'm hoping by the time I'm done simming the playoffs, we have another championship. It doesn't tell me anything on this screen, which is weird. It normally would. We're about to find out. And Louisiana Tech made it that far where they lost, but TCU put us out. That's not how I thought this rebuild would end, but it was still a solid 7 years. And it's a shame that Sergio's not going to get drafted, but he did everything for this program. We're finishing as a 4-star one with good speed going in the 4th round. And for only recruiting 3 stars, that surprisingly went way better than I thought it would, but let me know what you all want to see next.